How do you feel about claustrophobia? Probably not good. How about being underwater? It's dark and you can't see your hand in front of your face. Right. Dread, some fear. Probably a little anxiety. How about breathing solely with an oxygen tank that's going to eventually run out? Alright. Me too. So, I'm putting all those together. The name, the only thing I have right now is cave diver. But it involves a usage die, or a usage die system. And if you don't know, the way a usage die system works is you have a D20, and say the D20 represents your oxygen levels, your oxygen tank. So whenever you do something, you have to roll for your oxygen. Annoying trucks. Whenever you roll your oxygen with a D20, and if it lands on a 1 or a 2, that means you have to downstep the usage die, which would be, after a D20, it goes to a D12. And then the next time you have to roll for your oxygen, it could land on a 5, which means you don't downstep it. You only downstep whenever it is, or step down whenever it is on a 1 or a 2. Okay, sorry about that. Had to pause it. I'm at work doing this. Anyway, so we covered oxygen uses a usage die, but so does your HP. Whenever you take damage, you roll a D12. It doesn't necessarily hurt you very bad, being hit, but if you roll a 1 or a 2, obviously it did. So then you would step that down to a D10. And then if you get extremely hurt on that, you step it down to a D8, to a D6, to a D4. Then you die. Just like as I said before, the oxygen does the same thing. You step it down from a D20 to a D12 to a D10 to a D8, D6, and D4. Which sounds like, man, I got plenty of time. Plenty of life. But if you have a situation and you're caught off guard, say an eel jumps out from a crevice and goes to attack you, well, you roll your panic usage die, because you have a certain level of sanity, sort of. If you panic a lot, it's going to increase the amount of oxygen that you're intaking, which means, say your panic usage die drops down. Well, every time it drops down, you have to roll your oxygen UD usage die twice, when you would have rolled it once. So every time it drops down on your panic die, you roll your oxygen die one additional time, whenever you would have normally rolled it once. So things sort of stack up. If you're not careful, you can end up into a death spiral. But the way that I set up the caves that you're diving into is there are stress sections, but there are also relief areas. So it could be the walls closing in on you, and pressure from the depth of the water. But then you could also find a dome underneath the water in the cave that has air in it, and you can breathe, and you have a moment to relax, decompress for a second, which will adjust your panic die back to where it was before it dropped down by 1. So there's a give and take that takes place. You can also find resources or health in the form of like med kits, things like that, flashlights, help your perception checks, things like that. I have a lot of fun making these. They're not always your traditional role-playing game or tabletop RPG, but For me, it's the building them, the putting them together that is the fun part. I like that a lot. I like to think about abstract ideas and then give them dice value that will let you operate within those liminal spaces in your brain, kind of. Does that make sense? It does to me. But that's why I make these. The depths. So there's 3 depths. You have the upper caverns, which are a little easier to navigate. They're no cakewalk, but they're easier to navigate. And then once you reach a certain section in the upper depths, you'll find that they go deeper to the lower caves. And those increase the chance of harm and panic. But you're on a mission. So you continue. And then once you reach that certain section through the lower caves, there will be a deep, vast drop-off of cold water and pressure, and it kind of sucks you into it. It pulls you down to the abyssal depths. That's where the previous diver went. You haven't heard from them since. Their radio isn't working, but you have to find them. It just so happens that they're at the bottom of the abyssal depths, and that's where you have to make it to. The way that you travel through these caves is random rolls of a D66, which will put you in a location. 66 is the entry level to the next depth. So once you roll a 66, below that is the entry to the next depth. Then you have to again reach 66 to go into the abyssal depths, which is where your friend is at 66. I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and it does get pretty nerve-wracking because you're balancing your oxygen and you're hoping for a good relief spot. And if I just added in this and I haven't role-played it out yet or done any mechanics or tweaking to it, but once you reach D8 on your oxygen or a D8 in your panic, you can start to hallucinate a little bit. So I have to do some tinkering and see how I can blend that in. But that's what I got going on.